Welcome to the Great Basin Smoke Dispersion Briefing for Friday, December 1st. This is Gina McGuire. Over the last 2 weeks, we've seen precipitation focused over the northern two-thirds of the geographic area, and this precipitation in the Sierra and over the northern half of Nevada, Idaho, Wyoming, and northern Utah has been near to above normal for the time of year. We have had no precipitation over far southern Nevada, southern Utah, and the Arizona Strip in over the last 60 days. Snow over the last 72 hours has fallen over parts of the northern third of the area, and this is where we have our greatest snow depth over the high elevations of the central Idaho Mountains into Wyoming, and we also have some snowfall over parts of the northern Wasatch into the Uintas and also into the central Sierra. The satellite loop from this morning shows generally zonal westerly flow across the geographic area with only some cloud cover this morning over parts of Nevada and northern Utah. We do have an area of low pressure off the southern California coast, and this will continue moving eastward and not affect the area, but it's this next area of low pressure off the northwest coast that will move in, bringing us windier conditions and also a return of precipitation. By later today, as this storm continues to approach the west coast, we will continue with that westerly flow, generally light or moderate across the area with only some clouds starting to increase over parts of central Idaho. However, dispersion will remain quite poor across most areas with these light winds, with the exception of parts of southern Utah into the Arizona Strip, as we are seeing some influence of this low pressure area off the Baja Peninsula. However, again, winds will remain light, so transport winds generally in the light to moderate category, region-wide, with mixing heights being relatively poor. We will see the mixing heights start to increase a little bit over central Idaho today as those winds begin to increase ahead of this area of low pressure, but really we'll see more of an effect as we move through the weekend. By Saturday, this low pressure area moves just off the west coast. Therefore, winds will start to increase in the north and west, along with an increase in cloud cover and precipitation starting to push into the northern half of the area. Temperatures will remain relatively warm over the next couple of days and generally about 5 to 10 degrees above normal, but will be decreasing as this low moves through. Dispersion also will start to increase over parts of the southern half of the area, but will be still quite low, even though a little bit better on Saturday over the northern half of the region. As winds increase in the Sierra, we will see that dispersion really start to improve in the high elevations. Winds on Saturday, again, will be increasing, but still be relatively light in the lower elevations. It's really the high elevations of the Sierra into the northern third of the area that winds will start to increase with gusts around 30 miles per hour. Mixing heights also, as these winds increase as this low approaches, will be increasing especially over the northern third of the area, but still be quite low over the southern half of the GAC. On Sunday, this trough of low pressure begins moving through the area. Therefore, winds will be increasing over the area over the southern half of the GAC, generally near and ahead of this area of low pressure, but will be decreasing over Idaho and Wyoming, which is also where the showers will be focused. Ventilation indices will be increasing as this storm moves through, therefore fairly good dispersion in most areas, with the exception of right near the low across Wyoming into northern Utah. By Sunday, again, as these winds increase, you'll see southwest to west wind gusts gusting between 30 and 40 miles per hour over the southern half of the area, with wind directions beginning to shift to the northwest over Idaho into northern Nevada and still remaining breezy on Sunday. Again, temperatures will be decreasing to below normal as we get later in the weekend into early next week. Mixing heights will really increase on Sunday and be the highest over the southern half of the geographic area and will start decreasing again as that low passes by to the north. The forecast clearing index for Utah reflects this with relatively low clearing indices today with the exception of the high elevations, which will continue for the most part on Saturday. But on Sunday, as those winds really start to increase, is where we'll see those clearing indices really become elevated, most pronounced in the high elevations, but really even into some of the low elevations over the southern and eastern half of the state, we will see that improvement. The forecast precipitation over the next few days again shows that focus over the northern half of the geographic area with the heaviest amounts in the higher terrain of the northern Wasatch up into Wyoming and over the central Idaho mountains where we will see an increase in that snowpack. We'll also see some snow also in parts of the central Sierra. As we go into early next week, that trough of low pressure exits to the east with a building ridge of high pressure off the west coast. Therefore, we will see drier conditions move across the area by Monday. However, we will continue to have low ventilation indices and poor dispersion in the far north and better dispersion further south. However, under this ridge of high pressure initially with this northerly flow, we will see temperatures drop to below normal, so cold morning lows along with relatively cool daytime highs, also setting up those daytime inversions in the valleys. This pattern will continue into Monday as that ridge remains dominant with dry and cool conditions and inversions in place. So again, generally poor dispersion, especially where these inversions are over the northern half of the area. Wednesday and Thursday, still similar conditions with this strong ridge dominating, therefore dry conditions. However, as that ridge really starts to settle in, we will see temperatures eventually start to warm again as we go towards mid to late next week. But still, those strong inversions will keep dispersion relatively poor, especially over the northern half of the area. And again, similar conditions on Thursday with that dry ridge in place. Looking at the forecast amounts of precipitation, this starts on Monday morning. Again, dry conditions for most of the GAC. We will see a few showers lingering on Monday over parts of Wyoming before this area of low pressure really starts to exit, but really dry conditions should be expected most of next week. Looking at the 8 to 14 day outlook, which takes us into the second week of December, above normal temperatures will continue, especially over the southern half of the area, with drier conditions and below normal precipitation expected. That concludes our briefing for today. Check back on Monday for the latest updates.